Okay.
Dave's gonna Dave's
Hi,
gonna come.
everybody. So this is called an alchemical training adventure. And I like the adventure part, especially because, it should be experiential and fun, I think. So there you go. I wanted to do it because I wanted to, especially for the Alliance of Modern Day Alchemists, I wanted to kind of do more about what is alchemy and how does that work and how is it different. Yay, Dave's joining us. Fantastic. So, so for the sake of the video recording, some of you know me really well. I'm just going to do a little bit of an intro of my background about this. So, um, I've been at this for about 30 years, I would say now, probably from, well, late 1990s onwards. So, and in 2003, I wrote The Alchemical Coach, which is really about transformation and the fulfillment of potential. And then I'm just a couple more people coming in. So, hi, Brenda. And then I wrote The Real Art of Transformation a few years later. So, transformation was kind of my thing. Hi, Brenda.
Mhm.
Nice to see you. Wonderful. And then I did the 3 years on genius and unleashing genius. And now it's Transcendent Alchemy is my latest, one of my latest books anyway. So I've now written 20 books. So,
So
and I say that
probably two of
because,
us can't be on at the same time.
hi, David.
No.
Mhm.
Am
What a
I
guy.
here?
Hey, can you put your mute on? Because we can hear
Oh,
you.
another good.
Thanks. Wonderful. Well, welcome. Hey, welcome. Okay, so I was just introducing myself. So uh, I've literally gone from working in transformation, the fulfillment of potential through teaching people to be visionary coaches to working energetically to unleash genius and to embody our beings, to embody source, to now transcendent alchemy. And I think the difference between any of that and being an alchemist for me, it's more about working with possibilities, sourcing breakthroughs, creating realities. It's for me, it's creating something new that hasn't existed before. So it's the creation of that which doesn't already exist anywhere. And it's such a wonder to be an alchemist. To me, it's more joyful than any of the other modalities that I previously worked in. And I think probably Lynn and Sheila and Lena know me well. So would you say that as well? It's quite joyful, isn't it? Working in this way. So I host a group called the Murmuration of Maestros, and we do consciousness innovation, reality creation, future making, etc., and all as alchemical maestros is what we do. So I kind of believe that everybody is magnificent and has a greater purpose for being on the world, and that we can pretty much do anything we would love to do that creates a better world. It was interesting. I was just saying to Sheila that somebody answered the question going into the Alliance group. Um, are you willing to work to create a thriving, super connected world? And the person wrote, maybe, because because when you ask somebody, do you want to make the world better? That sounds like an ominous question. I completely get it. They're like, well, how do we do that? Right? But as an alchemical maestro, which I believe we all are, we have the capacity to do that in very unique and innovative and spontaneous, exciting new ways. So that's what this alchemical training adventure is about, is that. Sound good? Okay. So the here's what I want to start with. So when we do the work we don't do it from our logical brains or just the person that we are. We do it as expansive beings, which I'm pretty sure everybody on this call would completely understand. So the first thing you want to do is expand. So you become a field and you're connected to the field of whatever. You could be the universe, you could be source, you could be the earth, you could be nature, you could be anything, the oceans, you could be anything you want to be, but it's suddenly like you become something more than a person just oriented here, and you become super connected to everything, everywhere. Yeah, so we're doing that. Okay, and then from that place, so first is expand, then is elevate. So what you want to do from that place, so now you're connected to, I'm going to call it the field of living potency. I know that's not a term that I've seen anybody else use, and there are many different terms. But I'll explain something just for a minute because that field of everything that we live in, the air we breathe, consciousness, life, nature, connectedness, all of it, has evolved dramatically, especially in the last year, and even more so in the last 3 to 5 years, like really evolving very rapidly. So you might not know that if you watching the news or see what's going on in like a lower vibrational frequency, but the the field of living potency is filled with this extraordinary energy. It has access to brilliant possibilities, to new ideas, to genius flow, to great energy and vibrancy, to possibilities that we might not consider at a different vibration. So when I say expand and elevate, it's like you're plugged into that field of living potency. That's my term for it. You know, that people might call it something else. That's okay too. And then in that field, you can raise everything in that field. So you're raising the vibrational frequency of everything, the whole world, life. You feel the connection to earth, nature, animals, oceans, trees, bees, the universe, whatever works for you. We each might have our own unique ways of doing that. But to elevate it, I think is an alchemical act. So you're raising everything up to a different frequency. And in that different frequency, this potency exists that doesn't exist at a different lesser frequency. You also get synergy, synchronicity, a kind of natural abundance, a vitality that exists in it that's quite extraordinary. So as we expand and elevate, then I want you to just spontaneously do whatever comes naturally to you to do to gift something to the world. Whatever it is, you don't have to think about it or try and figure it out. It just will flow through you naturally, and you just let it come through you and gift it to the world. Okay. So did any of you notice that the field got more alive, more buzzy, more potent, more zingy, almost is a term I might use for it. I could almost feel it like getting like it had a pulse or something. It had strength. Yeah, Lynn's nodding her head. Anybody else notice that? That the field, as we engage with that field of living potency, it becomes more alive. Now, the reason this is different from how it was, let's say 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we were talking about working with the quantum field where possibilities dwelled. And what's happened in that 3 years, and I like to think our Memoration of Maestros group is in good part responsible for that, but maybe not exclusively. Um, it's come present into life, into the air we breathe, into Earth. So where the quantum, even consciousness, when I first started working with consciousness in 1995, 96, it was there for me. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but it was like I had to go way out. I had to get away from here and go way out to touch consciousness. But now it's this. It's in the cells, it's in the air, it's present. The same with the quantum field of possibilities. It's a living presence all around us in the air we breathe, in the cells we dwell within. And that's a big change. Now, as I said, other people might have a different experience than I've had because, I came out into all this in the mid 1990s. So, like Lynn, for example, has been it her whole life, right? So, we might all explain it differently or use different terms or whatever, but it's so amazing to experience this potency that is in presence in us now and around us now. And I think that's what makes modern day alchemists different from before. Is before it was something I think we did there, and now it's something we do here. Okay, so I've done a lot of talking and we played a little bit with the experience. Anybody want to share what you did or ask any questions about any of that? Yeah, Sheila.
Um, I went to a place I often go where the sort of feels like the top of my head comes off and everything is there and that and I'm what comes through me naturally is connection and understanding of our interconnectedness
Mm.
of everything.
Yeah. That's a good point because the other thing that to me is new, again, some people might have always experienced it differently, but um, when we were doing connection 2, 3 years ago, it was like whales, dolphins, trees, bees, oceans. Here we are. We're all connected. We're all in like a sphere of collectiveness, but something is fusing in our collective intelligence, in our collective wisdom, in our collective connectedness, where it's much more kind of it's becoming a kind of natural part of us. Yeah, Lynn.
I'm just sensing how after this morning, because we already were in those fields, it's so much easier now to go into the same field. It's almost like it's just there now. It's so much more present.
Yeah,
That's what you're talking about, isn't
yeah, yeah. And you can live in it. Well, I think one of the things we've been about, and what those of us that are playing with this, is how do we live in that and not to ignore what's happening in the world. That's not, for me, that's not the point of it. It's not to push it away and ignore it. It's to bring a different version of possibility of reality present into all and for all life. Without, and I will say this, my experience of being an alchemist doing this is it's not agenda based in my thinking, in my creation. It's not, this is how the world should be. It's it's sort of like the possibilities of us exist, and we're creating a relationship with those new possibilities and calling them present and then living them into living templates and sharing in whatever ways is ours to share, whether that's writing books or painting pictures or teaching classes or, however, being good to neighbors, whatever it is. But for me, one of the biggest difference about being an alchemist versus other versions of it is that I think your focus becomes more world universe as a creator of newness, of possibility. That's for me. So, Lynn, I would consider you an alchemist. Do you want to say anything about that for you? Like, because we should get probably some different views on it.
But yeah, I mean, the don't know. I mean, the way I work with it now is certainly has evolved as I've been working with you. Is that the more I'm able to go in that higher or that wider space or that soup space or whatever you call it of energy, which I suppose is actually a quantum space.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way of explaining it,
Yeah.
is that I can then bring things that I experience in other situations as discordant into that soup and just bring my energy into it and kind of make this, it's almost like it elevates those spaces within me, and I believe also in the world, because that's what I am, the world in that space. Put it
Yes.
that. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And different ones of us will become something different. Some people might want to become nature, become the earth, become the oceans. That's their orientation. Become the stars, become the universe, become source, become creator, become, there's no right way to do this. But I would say we have within us a natural essence of ourselves, which makes us unique. And that natural essence of us, which I think is hosted in the deep core of us and in our beingness, that natural essence has its own genius, its own flavor, its own contributions to make, its own orientations to passions, visions, desires, what it is we can gift and create. And so as much as you become everything, or whatever it is you want to become, you're also uniquely masterful from the deep core of you at the same time. So um, it's funny, these aren't quite the right words, but I won't say it's rooted in presence and rooted in uniqueness, but created in collective, collaborative creation. So it holds both ends of the spectrum, you could say, I suppose. That's it. So you want to just play with that for a minute. Okay, so this is an alchemical adventure. So, okay, so if you want if you want to tap that unique essence of you, okay, so just first take a deep breath. And, I would say like throw your arms out wide, because what happens when you throw your arms out wide is your whole body opens up. And you take another deep breath. And then inside the deep core of you dwells the essence of you. Some people might call that soul. There are I think in the Eastern traditions, they might call that spirit. That there's all kinds of different terms. But for me, in the deep core, it takes you back to the origins of you. And it's where you were designed from originally and who you are as a unique essence of possibility in life. Okay, and so once you've got that deep core access, then in there is your genius, is your mastery, is your essence power. And if you let that just rise gently through you, almost like a gift to the world. Okay. So could you feel the flow of that moving through you? Could you get in touch with the flavor of you as essence? That's my term I'm just going to put on it. So anybody not? Because we can play with that if you'd like. No? Sheila, did you go, maybe? Or was that just
No, I definitely got in touch with my essence, spirit. For me, it's where I connect with God.
yeah.
That's how I experience it.
A lot of people would say that it's where like where you might experience yourself as source or be in touch with God, as you said, or the universe, or whatever, however you want to put language on it. Because so we've got the emotional center, but the emotional center is different than the essence. The essence is in the what I call the deep core. So it's not quite all physical. It's beyond physicality, but it's within. It's like it's just something else. Would you mind, Sheila, if we use you just as an example to play with essence?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so if you want to get someone's essence, then I'm going to do it with Sheila. And if you want to join in, you okay if the others do it as well for you? Okay, so if I can do it in a bunch of ways, I could pretend to be Sheila and see what makes her unique. That's one way to do it. That's not interfering in any way with her energetic. Or I can connect with Sheila and get her unique mastery and power. So I might do it both ways. So whatever calls to you without interfering with her energetically, we're kind of doing this in a light touch way. So, hi, Madeline. Hi, Dean. Hey, we're just playing with essence and we're using Sheila as an example. So, okay, here we go. All right, Sheila, so here we go. Okay, so I'm going to say a couple of things just as I begin. More like I reached out field to field. That's just the way it occurred. Like, here's her field, here's my field. And like, we just reached out and touched fields kind of thing so I could get a sense of her. Could you feel that at all, Sheila?
Sure. I feel it as love.
Okay, yeah. So what came to me was a bunch of things. Really, it comes really fast when you're getting information like this. Um, you've discounted more professions than you've engaged in. Okay, no, I'm not going to be that. No, I'm not going to be that. Yes, I'm going to be that. No, I'm not going to be that. Is that true?
Sure. I've been a lot of things. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
as an entrepreneur, you engage in lots of things and inquire in lots of things and put things together. And did this work? Did this not work? Oh, this worked. Okay, we'll go here. Let's open this up. Like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very brave, bold, wonderful, creative, powerful, amazing. And there's more power in you than you currently utilize. You aware of that?
Mhm.
Do you want to experience that?
Experience the power.
Yeah, the power of you, the essence
Sure.
power of you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, so I just want to get your permission before we do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I can't help it. Every time I go into one of these states with somebody, I get so much joy that comes up. It's not there. I never ever find, oh, there's this problem and it needs to be solved. No, it's like the unleashing of this joyous, there it is, ta-da! Like it was like shining through you. And of course, as it came up, you were like, but I'm not going to do this. It was like putting aside that possibility and that, but yes to the power kind of thing. You were like that. So it was very cool. How's that feel?
Yeah, no, absolutely. People, around me say I should run for office. I should,
Yeah,
do something in leadership. But it's not calling me right
yeah,
now. It's just
yeah,
not. So I'm just being and meditating and giving my love and energy to the world in every moment that I can.
yeah, yeah. That's exactly kind of what I was feeling, but I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to do that. But I am opening up the power in movement, yeah, which
Sure.
is great. That's all you need to do. It's really kind of exciting. So,
Can
and do you?
actually say that, but she's attracted, or people are attracted to her all the time
Yeah,
because of some super smart Sheila looking for direction, guidance, whatever. So she's giving it, putting it out there
yeah,
uh,
big
uh,
time. Yeah,
in surprising ways. It's pretty amazing watching her navigate through all her social circles, and
Th-
they respect her.
there's no holding back whatsoever in her. I really get that. At the same time, there is discernment about how it lands. That's how I would say it.
Mhm.
Just like you're saying, no to leadership, no to politics, no to, whatever, but yes to the power and the movement and the contribution. So yeah, that was interesting. So anybody else try that? And how'd you find it as you played with it? Anybody want to share? Yeah, Lena.
I just saw her and I came like a big golden bubble like surrounded her like it was just hugging her a big one not like a snug little one but a big one come boom it was just golden it was beautiful.
Fantastic. And I'll bet you feel pretty great, Sheila, right?
I do. I feel wonderful.
Yeah, because this has nothing to do with any of us on this call, but a lot of people like walk around closed up, protecting themselves or feeling vulnerable or just being cautious in life. That's kind of quite normal for people. But actually, the vitality, the power, the brilliance, the genius flow, all of it happens when you're more open, wild open, I call it, and in love with life. And it's that essence core, the essence power of you. It's where your mastery dwells as well. It's where your unique mastery exists. And then that kind of plugs in and sources the field of life, not only all around you, but in the world at large as well, and sometimes even in the universe. And I think that's the alchemical shift from living a normal life or any of the versions thereof to being an alchemist walking in life. It's quite fascinating. So, anybody want to ask any questions or share anything else?
Well, when you said, what can I give today to the world, and I think uh, um, all I can, and that changes by the day as the day goes on. But
Yeah.
but I'm thinking I get so much more from God, from out nature, whatever, wherever there's the input is. I take a lot more than I put out. um, all I can really give is my gratitude and um, share it with with everything I do. But we live with a lot of birds. You know, as we're sitting here, I'm just watching birds soar. You know, I do that a lot, and sort
Yeah,
of my mind is going with. I'm flying with them.
yeah.
Um, so I'm a
Beautiful.
taker. I guess more than a giver.
You know, because Dave has been a part of a skiing magazine and he's an avid skier, right? He's called Captain Powder, right? And when you're skiing down a mountain, right, you must feel that brilliant, what I'm going to call life power. It's not power like the old ways. Do you feel the life power surging when you ski?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, he
it's all
does.
it's all inclusive for taking in the power and of of the world, everything.
Yes. And it's kind of like that. It's why I think joy is an essential part of alchemical creation. Because I'm going to use Dave's example of skiing down a mountain. So you're so fully alive. The views, the rush of the wind, the flow of the skis, the white of the snow, the brilliance of nature. And in those moments, you are filled with a kind of, I would imagine, an effervescent joy of life, right?
Completely,
Yeah.
completely.
And so as you get filled with the effervescent joy of life, in whatever way you do that, for me, it's walking up the Glastonbury tour. That's that's one of mine. That's where I get my great joy from. You can see 20 miles in every direction, and it's great energy spot. So, but when you're, hi Kelly. So
Sorry.
we're just talking about unique essence and mastery and how the joy is essential to alchemy. So we're talking about Dave skiing down the mountains. And there is a moment where you could reshape the whole world. Does that make sense, Dave?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you're so filled with life in every way, in every cell of you. There's like an exuberance that's there. And it's like you could reach out and gift that exuberance of life to the whole world, right? That's an alchemical act.
Skiing is just yeah, skiing is just one of those
Yeah.
outlets. I mean, it
Flying
can
with the birds may be another one. You know?
all day long and going from joy to
Yeah.
joy to joy until
It's why I think joy is an essential part of this modern day alchemy and how we do what we do. Because if we're in a normal routine, like if I just drop back for a minute to a normal day, doing things I do, it's okay. I can still feel I'm connected. But the minute I do, I'm in love with life, it's like my reach expands, the pulse beats, the possibilities. It's like I become a magnet for possibilities and abundance and synergy and synchronicity to rush towards me. And good things then start to happen, not just in my nearby circle, but because I'm plugged into the whole world or the universe and elevating it with the joy of life. Now, there may be other ways of accessing it too. Anybody use a different way to access all that for yourself? Anybody want to share? Yeah, Brenda.
So I feel really connected when I am bicycling in nature, dancing. When I'm dancing like in a drum circle, I just feel like I can totally uh, drop my my day-to-day Brenda and just be joy and peace and love
Yeah.
and it just feels like it's flowing out of me.
Yeah. We change from being a person walking around in our own field to that joy or nature or the universe or the breathtaking moments or the skiing down the mountains or the whatever it is, it takes us into an expanded field in which life is waiting for us to accelerate it, to shape it, to create with it, to bring newness into being, bring wonders into being, etc. And it's really important that and I've had to spend a lot of time, well, not a lot of time, but I've had to spend some time this year because I like to keep my eye on what's going on in the actual world. I do, I do like to know what's going on. I want to be kept. It's historical. I think we're in a historical epic time, so I'd like to know. So I've had to learn to master how to not let it draw me into concern and distress, and to instead be with it like a historical recording and to see what that would bring me to upgrade and up level. So it's becoming a bit of a new art form for me this year, and it's still in process. I'm still working that out. So have any of the rest of you had to do that this year, especially? Yeah, look at that. Yeah, everybody's nodding their head. Yeah. It's quite an interesting time as the old reality is disintegrating, because it's disintegrating and disassembling itself. And what I'm really keen about that alchemists bring to the game, we are designers and creators of new realities and new possibilities, a new whole new world. We can bring to the game that which hardly isn't even, I haven't seen it be talked about much yet in the world. And that's what alchemists can bring to the game is we can redesign from new possibilities. Because a lot of what I see going on, even where people are trying to make things better, it's still ex in an existing paradigm, still improvements on how things have always been. And what we want to do is go to the place where, whoa, what could we become? What is possible for us now? Yeah, Lynn.
I'm just thinking that another way for me is to see beauty and to recognize beauty, but I'm thinking from what you just said, it's also about seeing beauty in what is being perceived. I mean, it's that loop of mirroring back something that is bigger than what has been told, so
Yes,
that kind of creates a larger reality from which we can breathe.
yes, yes, exactly. And I can give you a kind of practical example of this, perhaps. And it's still in process, so this is not a done deal. But, there's a lot of talk about climate change, and certainly in certain countries in the world, they're experiencing a lot of dramatical things that would definitely appear to be climate change. Well, what we did as maestros in the last 3 years is we awakened a sense of dormant miraculousness in nature. Like, it's always been miraculous. I'm not saying it hasn't, of course it has. But in every living thing, including ourselves, there is a miraculousness that exists within us. And it's dormant and quiet or sleeping. I don't know how you might talk about it, but we can awaken that miraculousness as alchemists. And when we did that with nature 3 years ago, here in the UK, and certainly in other places that people I know have talked about in Australia, New Zealand, etc., the green became super green. The fields, for the first time I've ever seen in my 29 years here in the UK, became yellow with buttercups and dandelions that were like little radiant suns. Like they just filled the fields with yellow. the flowers grew taller and more beautiful than they'd ever been before. And now that, well, again, people would say trees have always talked, but now the leaves talk to me. It's like I'm walking past and they're demanding I say they're beautiful. Like it's like, it's such a different thing for me to experience. It's quite amazing. Yeah, Kelly, go for it.
I think the question is where we're drawing our inspiration from, because I'm coming in late, but I'm listening and it's just occurring to me that like for me it has been nature, and living in the forest was an incredible period for me in which a lot of change happened, and it was in connection and with the forest. And then
Yes.
being in the French Alps, I had this entire really powerful connection to the mountain. I was not the one I was actually living on, the one I could see from right in front of me. But when I'm thinking about how I answer that question now, it's very different because I'm not getting that from something outside myself.
Yeah.
It now is myself. It
Oh,
is like
beautiful.
being in awe of my own being. Like it's me. It's, I don't know how to explain it other than that, but it's no longer external. It's a knowing of my own essence and power that is where the inspiration is.
Fantastic.
It's just it's just feeling it, like basically.
And one
I
of
don't
the
know if
things
that
I
makes
talked
sense.
about at the beginning of the call that I think
Yeah.
might come into what you're talking about is that where consciousness and the quantum field and everything was there, now it's in the cells, it's in the air we breathe, it's a dynamic relationship we have with ourselves and with everything. So I think people who are, or maybe have always been naturally alchemical, that it's relational and you become it. And I think that's what you're describing. It's less outside of us and more, and it's all the collectiveness all enfolded in one space at the same time. So, yeah, beautifully put. Thanks. Yeah. Anybody else want to share anything before we keep going? Yeah, Centauri.
Well, I was thinking what we started with alchemy as a concept was in the physical realms of changing something from one substance into another. And then, of course, we're thinking about the morality of changing perhaps evil to good and getting things done in that particular way. And then we're moving from, as you said, moving from the known world, all the things that we have previously been taught that are true things, into an unknown space. But in the unknown space, you've got a real lot of expanse
Yeah.
of you being able to refashion who you are, what you identify yourself as, and what it is that you are capable of, and what you believe the game to be that you are a prime mover in. So when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, what is it that I believe to be true about myself? Well, I am an unknown force of completely unknown possibilities, but I have a charge in me. And when I touch the essence of others, their unique essence, then there I notice that there's a response. And I've done it with people over time. And the response is that they re-know themselves.
Yeah.
They're no longer the same individual with their associations and past histories. They are believing now, or I use the word believe in very loose fashion. They are now responding to something which they haven't responded to before because it hadn't been presented to them. So on some of these calls, we've said we're no longer humans. What does that mean? It means we've taken the human identity, moved it away, and seeing what takes its place. What is the presence that now suddenly starts to occupy the physical realm? And that allows for something completely different to shift in our appreciation of what is. Everything starts to shift. So therefore, you can become source, you can become an elevation of godness in some sort of way, or whatever else you want to language the change that you notice. But then you suddenly realize there is no game. There is no game whatsoever, but there is a realization of something that takes place. And that is what I would feel is the transformation that we're really getting to the nub at.
Yeah.
What is this transformation that we're really talking about, but haven't yet really landed in such a way that all that understanding of world reality suddenly goes out the window because you've changed the world reality of itself in a profound way, in an undeniable way. And you can see it almost like you can feel the essence of something start to shift in the world itself, in all the beings that are on that world, and all the experiences, life experiences that are associated with those beings. They start to take flight. They are themselves something unique, which you have touched because you have believed, use that word believe again, you have believed there is a possibility that you have launched into effect because there it stands in front of you. You are undeniably a force that previously hasn't been given the ability to live in the way that it wanted to live. And because you stand there for that, it suddenly starts to live. And that, I think, is the essence of the transformation of the whole of the universes.
That was beautiful. Do you know when Centauri said there is no game? I loved every word that he just said. But when he said there's no game, for me, that translates to I don't know that there's a plan to all this. I think we're being asked to learn to be creators of reality. And I think it's kind of like it
On a
felt like
grand
this.
scale.
Yeah, on a grand scale, not just like how do I live my life and how do I make my community better. Those are great things too, but it's like how do we become creators with a capital C of a world? It's like that's a whole different ball game afoot, and it's something we're learning to do as visionaries, world changers, alchemists, future makers. It's a new skill, talent, genius, ability. It's something different because I don't think there's been many in the world who would say that's who they are. There are certainly people in the past who've taken a good shot at it, I would say. So, but I think we're now doing this collectively and collaboratively, which is unique in itself as well. I think there's millions and maybe even billions of us. Well, billions if you include all the other life forms as well, not just in human form, but all of us. So it's quite exciting. Okay, I just looked at the clock. I'm like, where did all this time go? That just whizzed by. So because we'll try and wrap up on the hour, but before we do, I want you to take whatever you've gotten so far in this as you, as an essence source creator, as a powerful, beautiful, greater universal source being, whatever yours is. Okay. And I want you to like just come into that space of you and feel your connection to all of us on this call as if we're a beautiful collective. And then also nature, oceans, trees, bees, whales, dolphins, animals, the universe, stars, whatever you want, as a collective, creative, alchemical force. And then there's this beautiful world, and do whatever it is that is yours to do that comes spontaneously to you to elevate and evolve and expand the world into what's next for it. Okay. Whew. Could you feel the life power of that increase as we expanded the collectiveness? Yeah, some of you, yeah, I did. I could feel it. It's like our reach becomes richer in some way, deeper, richer, more profound, profoundly connected. And then I think each of us would uniquely do what is ours to do as that. And for me, because I read this weird post this morning on Facebook where someone was describing levels of people. I didn't like the post. I was like, don't say that. No, I don't like what you're saying. But so what I did was I brought super conscious awareness to every living being on the planet. And I've done some of that before. We've done some of that as maestros before. And I can see it in many places, but it was especially for people who weren't yet fully aware of what's possible or life. It was like just this beautiful collective universal intelligence just being connected. That's what was mine to do. So anybody else want to share? What did you do? Nope. Okay. That's all right. You don't have to. So yeah. But when we work collectively like that, one of the things we found in the Maestros group, I call it collaborative genius fusion. That's a term I've used in the past. Another term I've used for it is kaleidoscopic creation. So we're all unique, masterful creators, alchemical source creators. And yet, when we come into collectiveness like this, and we go into expanded reach where we're connecting with, I called it at the beginning of the call, the field of living potency, where possibilities and newness and quantum stuff exists. What happens is that each contribution is kind of like put into an alchemical pot, and the pot becomes more than the individual pieces. It like does this kind of quantum fusion thing happens if you can observe that. And then what pops out of it, so with each of us doing our own piece of that, what pops out of it is something we probably couldn't have even thought of before. Because each of us alchemically has spontaneously gifted what is our unique mastery and contribution to make. It therefore fuses into a brand new possibility of life and becomes available then through the expanded collective reach of us. Whew, there's a bunch of words. Okay, we're going to wrap up in a couple of minutes. So anything for anybody? Questions, sharing, anything you want to pop in before we go? No? Okay. I loved it. I absolutely loved doing that with you all. That was fabulous. So I'm just going to put a plug in quick. So I'm doing an alchemical apprentice program. You do it either online or you can do it in person here in Wells, Glastonbury in October of this year. So if that calls to you, let me know. I'd love to talk to you about it and see what we design for you. So there you go. Thanks everybody for being in the world, for being who you are and gifting what you gift to the world. It's awesome to work with you all and be with you all. Lots of love.
Bye-bye.
Bye.